Philosophy in an Hour. J.S. Mill by Paul Strathern. Read by Jonthan Keeble. Introduction. The greatest happiness of the greatest number is the foundation of morals and legislation. The sacred truth of utilitarianism. John Stuart Mill is best remembered today as the leading exponent of utilitarianism, but he did not invent this philosophy or even initiate its wide-ranging influence. This was the work of the remarkable Jeremy Bentham. In his later years, John Stuart Mill wrote a perceptive portrait of Bentham. He had neither internal experience nor external. He never knew prosperity and adversity, passion nor satiety. He never had even the experience which sickness gives. He lived from childhood to the age of 85 in boyish health. He knew no dejection, no heaviness of heart. He never felt life a sore and weary burden. He was a boy to the last. Bentham's family bequeathed him sufficient cash to live on for the rest of his life without working. He put this stroke of fortune to exceptional use. He devoted his entire life to thought. Yet not all his thinking involved philosophy and theoretical matters. The progressive utilitarian ideal that he founded permeated all his thinking. Bentham sought progress in all fields, from politics to prisons, from philosophy to frozen peas. His most celebrated practical scheme was the panopticon, a revolutionary new design for a prison. This was laid out like a wheel, with the cells lining the outer rim and the warder's tower at the axle. This panoptic, all-seeing tower enabled the warden to look into all the cells without going on patrol. Yet the architecture of this efficient prison was not the only novel feature. Bentham proposed that his prison should be run as a profit-making business. In this way it could be self-supporting, and the hard work involved for the prisoners would grind the rogues honest. But this process would also prove humane, for the governor would feed the prisoners well and keep them in good health, so that they could work harder and earn more money. Bentham became so enamoured of this scheme and ran up such debts while attempting to persuade the government to adopt it that he almost ended up in jail himself as a bankrupt. His acquaintance with the bankruptcy laws, which could still inflict 48 hours pillory in the stocks and the cutting off of ears, proved a sobering shock. Bentham's other practical schemes ranged from an early form of telephone involving a network of speaking tubes to a project for digging a canal across the Panama Isthmus to the Pacific, as well as his celebrated scheme for the freezing of vegetables so that peas could be served for Christmas dinner. Other projects included law reform, emancipation of the colonies, the drawing up of a British constitution, the establishment of London University, and last but not least, a whole-scale and radical overhaul of the bankruptcy laws. Bentham spent much of his life badgering the authorities, but not in person. He was a shy man who preferred to live a secluded life devoted to his schemes and ideas, attended only by his loyal friends and disciples. Among these was James Mill, John Stuart Mill's father. This group, known as the Philosophical Radicals, promoted Bentham's work in public. Their advocacy of his ideas had widespread effect, especially in Parliament, where Bentham's allies included David Ricardo, the great classical economist of his day. Even Bentham's constant stream of pestering letters to the authorities would, sometimes inadvertently, bring about major reforms. In the course of his correspondence with the Governor of the Bank of England about an unforgeable banknote that he had recently dreamed up, Bentham happened to inquire precisely how many banknotes were in circulation. The governor realized that he had no idea, nor did anyone else in the bank. If it was to persist in any plausible claim to be in control of the currency, the bank realized that it had better start by finding out how much of this unknown entity there was. In this way, Jeremy Bentham can claim responsibility for the introduction of the numbering on English banknotes, as well as the first monetary policy that actually had some idea of what it was talking about. Yet Bentham was far from merely a brilliant crackpot.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?